he's realizing this conversation he's had for the last hour or so is not with a black man that is committed. And peace, family. It's your boy Dre from Hip Hop Since 1973. And today we're taking a look at a recent, maybe not so recent, but definitely in the last few months, a recent conversation between the cast over there at the Joe Budden Podcast and Dr. Umar. Joe invited Dr. Umar up, clearly to, ruffle some feathers and get some views. And he did that because this video got over 1 million views. And so it did what it was supposed to. But it was a very entertaining conversation. And part of the reason why it was so entertaining is because Ish, on one of the cast members on the Joe Budden Podcast, I think either was gassed or was hyped to really debate Dr. Umar in this conversation. And you could tell that was his assignment almost, because he kept on kind of being the devil's advocate or having a different perspective. And I know Ish does have a lot of the perspectives that he stood on in this conversation. But what was even more interesting is his approach, right? Just because I think, don't know it, but I think Ish actually thought that he could debate Dr. Umar. And he might even think after it was over that he debated. But if you watch it, it was really just Ish being on some insecure shit, really. Because he was constantly self-validating himself, saying, oh, I run a business. Oh, I've made millions by this age. Oh, I did this. I did that. When really it wasn't that kind of party, right? But I think he needed to do that in the name of the way the conversation was going, because, Ish was in it. He was battling. Well, I wouldn't say he was battling. He was in it. But the battle resulted into him just getting flustered and yelling, right? So he yelled a bunch of times. When he didn't get it, when he thought he proved the point, he would slam down his headphones he'd be yelling, I'm about to crack his muffin, like he was about to prove Dr. Umar wrong on a point. And never in the conversation. Now, some people might argue it, but as a weathered black man on this earth, never in this conversation did Ish prove him wrong, right? And in a lot of ways, he couldn't have really, right? They entertained conversations about interracial relationships, and you can see in that conversation where Ish or Dr. Umar had the epiphany that Ish was in a relationship. He didn't know, but you could tell that he was dissecting the conversation that he had been having and the interaction he had been having, and realized that Ish was a protector of white folks, right? And that there was something there, and he called it out. And so it's a really entertaining and informative conversation. I'm glad Joe did it. And I'm even glad that Ish, because I don't think Joe could have done what Ish did. And so Ish made this entertaining, right? But unfortunately, I think it made him look a certain way that, I would have rather not see him like that, but it is what it is, right? So let's take a look at some of the conversation and break it down.
All right, then. So when you start talking about some of this shit, that's where my classism argument comes in. Look at that. Complete circle.
But here's
I'll let
why
you
the
back.
classism argument
let me
gotta be
finish.
tempered for a minute.
Let me finish.
But
Now
when
you
say
can't
this,
finish.
You don't really have class in Black America. You know why? Class is a concept that refers to ownership of wealth. The traditional definition of class is ownership of wealth.
True.
We don't have
shit.
wealth.
That's not
we
true.
have more money. That's not class.
That's not true.
Income is not class.
You are-
Ownership is class.
You are correct. And
You see what I'm saying?
there is a subsect of black culture
So we ain't
that
got
is
no
starting
class.
to move up the wealth meter exponentially, in fact, with home ownership, insurance,
That's
et cetera,
true.
et cetera. Those are the things
But
that
do
are
you know
building
how
wealth.
far-
So, Ish is trying to make a point, but the reality is that he doesn't know how wide the gap is, right? And so he's assuming because I think he does real estate or something like that, and so he knows some cats that have been able to bubble a little bit because of some of the stuff that they've been doing. But the reality is that the gap is so huge, right? I recently heard a statistic where the richest 400 white people in America are richer than all black and brown people. Richest 400 people in America, 400. That percentage that's a small percent, right? Is richer than all black and brown people put together. That's how wide the gap is. And that's how real racism is.
Far away
I'm not
from white
I'm not
folks they
comparing.
are.
No. Stay here, because you be moving the goalposts. We are talking about what classism within blacks. You
Exactly.
said, fuck the whites.
Ain't
we
no
talking
class.
about. You're wrong.
It's imaginary, bro.
You're wrong.
What we own? The average middle class black person is 2 or 3 paychecks away from poverty.
True.
What we own?
That's-
We don't got no class. You know what we do have?
No,
A
there-
caste system. CASTE.
What's the
A
difference?
caste. Class is about of ownership of wealth. Class is ownership of wealth.
Caste is about
based on ethnicity and
ethnicity.
race.
True. We don't have a caste system in the Black America. I disagree.
Oh my
we have a
God.
class system brewing in Black America because, again, there is a subsect of black people that are flying up the wealth meter.
But that's a minority.
I'm not disagreeing.
It's
but
not
I
decisive
agree.
enough. Go ahead.
Listen, so those same black people that are increasing their wealth are starting to be cooler with the cool rich whites than they are with the poor race blacks.
Exactly.
The
But
same-
that's not
the
because
same-
of class.
Listen,
that's because of access.
the same way-
Any Negro who does not respect his race will coon out at the first chance he gets. I don't give a damn if he make $1 an hour or $1 million an hour. A coon is a coon,
go.
and it has
There we
nothing
go.
to do with income. It ain't got nothing to do with
That's it.
income.
Listen,
That's it.
It ain't got nothing to do with how much money you make. A coon will coon regardless.
So the wealthy white, the wealthy white that's cool with the wealthy black, but could give a fuck about the poor white. What are
He
they?
ain't playing.
Say that again.
Wealthy white, wealthy black. Right? Let's say they're neighbors. Whatever the fucking case may be. The wealthy white,
Is going to look for how he can exploit the wealthy
you didn't
black
even
for
let
his
me
own
get my
personal
sense,
gain.
bro.
Yeah.
That's not true. Hey, yo, bro. Listen. Look.
What are you talking
Listen
about?
to
It's
what I'm
very
saying.
true.
The wealthy white,
This
the
is
wealthy
just
black.
so
The
in
wealthy
bed with white
cares more
folks.
about
He
that
just
wealthy
don't,
black than he
he
care
just
about that
don't
poor
get
white.
it.
You absolutely wrong.
No.
That's not true.
Even Joe
That's
said
not
you
true.
was wrong.
He'll work his way to get that.
absolutely
He'll
wrong.
work his
You
way to
out
get
your
that.
fucking
He'll
mind.
work his way to get that
You
poor white.
So
up.
why
You don't understand racism. You don't understand racism.
Yo, nobody can
Watch
ever,
this.
nobody
understand
ever answers this
racism.
question for me.
You don't
If white
understand
people
racism.
got all this power and all this money, why the fuck is 90% of them broke?
Well, hold on.
Capitalism.
Dr.
Why
Umar,
the fuck are 90% of them
you're
broke?
saying
Y'all just told me the
capitalism-
wealthy white man would try to help pull the white up. That's what you said. Why the fuck they not helping them?
No. You said that
Imani
the wealthy
said.
white
Imani. Yes.
cares more about the wealthy black than the poor white.
Yes.
And I'm telling you, you're wrong.
I disagree. We
You're
can agree to
wrong.
disagree.
Well, Dr. Umar, can I just make it
Sure.
very noticeable?
It's not even possible.
Ish believes that racism is dying at this point.
I believe that racism.
You've been the past 20 years.
So I believe
It's
that.
dying.
So-
it just reinvented itself and had triplets and shit. What are you talking about? It's dying.
So that's why the perspective of how
No,
you
that's
saying
not
it.
why my perspective is that. My
Racism is
perspective is I'm a mathematical dude. I believe in the math thing. So my point is that nobody can answer me with is if white superiority is their primary objective. I believe power is any wealthy person's objective because I think that regardless of color, we want to maintain our wealth. So you could go to Africa, you could go to fucking India, you could go to China, you could go anywhere you want. The wealthy people in those regions want to maintain their power. You maintain your power by suppressing the majority. So now, regardless of color, my point to y'all is, if white power was such a real ideal thing, why the fuck are they not helping the poor whites?
Who said they weren't? Yeah. Let me throw a couple things at you. There was some research that was done.
Who said they not?
Who said they not?
Numbers?
Stay with me.
You can't use numbers when they benefit you.
Here's the point you're missing. Although they may be poor, they have advantages, opportunities, and access to resources that we will never touch. There was a research study that was done recently. Stay with me. Stay with me.
Who the mic closer to, Doc?
You got to move the mic.
Move the mic closer to you so I can hear you.
There was a research study done recently where they looked at people who are looking for jobs. White men, no college. You probably know what I'm talking about. White males, no college, no degrees, prison record. Black male, no prison record, bachelor's degree, master's degree. Guess who got called back?
I know.
Five
who got
times
called
as
back.
likely than the other group.
I believe that.
Yeah.
The whites.
And that's
So
white
when you say
people
the
looking
rich
out for white
care more
people.
about the rich black, why didn't he hire the black male with the college degree like he got instead of the poor white male?
My turn to answer you?
Yes, sir.
The person doing the hiring ain't the rich white. The person doing the hiring is the fucking mid-level HR nigga that don't feel threatened by the white man. He feel threatened by the black dude. That's
who does he
let me
answer to?
answer you.
Who does he answer to? Who controls that institution?
The questions, and I've been in mid-level corporate America before.
Here he goes.
The motherfuckers up there don't know what we doing down here. They leave and delegate that to you. If Joe had an HR manager that he hired to come in here and clean this motherfucking apartment, Joe might not know who the fuck.
Now, it's crazy. It's crazy that level of thinking exists, right? If I am, do you think for a minute that Tim Cook over at Apple or dude over at Facebook, Zuckerberg, or Elon Musk, whatever his fucking name is, right? You don't think he looks at his sheets and knows what his demographics are that work for him, that he employs? You'd be a fool to think that it was only about hiring the best people for the job. We are in America. It's never been just about being the best person for the job. White people have always taken care of each other, while we have always found a way to take care of everybody, particularly when we get in rooms of leadership. And Ish, for some reason, I don't know why, has this thinking where he thinks white people are not looking out for each other. Of course they are.
Something just hit me.
Shoot.
Are you mixed?
This is it right here. So this is when you can tell just a second ago, Dr. Umar sitting there with it's calculating in his head. He's realizing this conversation he's had for the last hour or so is not with a black man that loves, protects, and is committed to the black family, right? He might do black shit in the black community, but he had this epiphany just now. And watch.
Motherfucking apartment. Joe might not know who the fuck cleans this
Something
apartment.
just hit me.
Shoot.
Are you mixed race?
No.
Or are you a bunny hopper?
Yes. Per your
That's why
that's
you
not
have
true.
a liberal
that's
perspective.
Not true. That's not
because you go home
that's
to a
not
white
true.
woman.
Yes, but that's not true. I felt this way before I met my white girlfriend.
So help me understand how you could be so passionate about the black.
I'm passionate. I'm an objective thinker. I don't. If something makes sense.
So you have no loyalty to the black community.
No, I do have. I probably employ more blacks than you.
Okay. So help me
More
understand
blacks.
that you employ more blacks than me, but you go home to a
Any
white woman. Why
nigga
you don't
that
have a
says
black
I
woman?
probably
I
hire
fell in
more
love with a white
blacks
woman,
than
not a
you.
black
Why did
Oh
you
my
fall in love with a
God.
black
I did.
woman?
I fell in love with a black woman. We broke up.
Okay. And why didn't you fall in love with another black woman?
I did that too. We broke up.
Okay. And why didn't you get another one and another one and another one until you found the right one?
Because I met a white woman that I fell in love with, and that's the person that
And
I'm
you're
with
being
today.
disingenuous about
That's not
something.
true.
And let me tell you what you're being
Shoot.
disingenuous about.
Shoot.
Romance is a function of focus and opportunity. If I want to date an Asian, I'm going to put myself around Asian women so I can find one. If I want to date a Latino, I'm going to put myself around Latino women so I can date one. If you wanted to marry a black woman, you would have put yourself around black women so you can find one. So how did you end up with the Caucasian? No disrespect to her.
No, not at all. What I'm telling you is the places that I go socially are not just monolithic.
So what? I went to a white college, white job. I never bunny hopped.
Listen to my question. Let me answer you. That wasn't my priority. My priority wasn't, I'm not closed off to dating Latino women. I'm not closed off to dating Asian women. I'm not closed off to dating white women. So again, in my search for romance, all of those things were on the table.
But you do understand that by not being with a black woman, you undermine the success of the black community.
That's your opinion.
That's my opinion. Then tell me how the black community benefits from you having a white woman.
If I lend to the financial uplifting of that community, one, that's one thing. Two, if I'm helping to educate the people in that particular community, that's a benefit.
Does not your white woman benefit more from your economics than any black person?
Of course.
Yeah, probably.
Exactly.
Of course.
So why can't they both be mutually beneficial?
You want to know why? Because she belongs to the group that is responsible for the historical oppression of your race.
So
why would you voluntarily go over and marry into that? Because when you marry the woman, you don't just marry the woman or date the woman. You're dating her community and her culture. And given the history of us and them, why would you dare align yourself with that if you care about us?
Let me ask you a question. I want you to let me get my answers out.
Go ahead.
So hypothetically, if you're in one tribe, I'm in another tribe. That tribe is responsible for killing some people in your family.
Goes with this.
We're gonna keep
he
it right
here. He think he's cooking right now.
You were responsible for killing some of my people for the last 30, 40 years. I'm responsible for killing some of your people for the last 30, 40 years. I'm gonna judge you because you're a blood or you're a Crip based on all of the shit that your peoples and your crew did for the last 30, 40 years, or am I gonna judge you based on who you are?
I understand your analysis, but here's where I disagree with your analysis. Although your white girlfriend, and possibly probably none of her family owned a slave, you understand?
They're from Portugal.
Hung an African. They're from Portugal. Although the Portuguese were some of the first ones in the slave trade.
Are the very
absolutely. They built most of the dungeons in Africa.
Sure indeed.
So I know she got racism in her veins because of the Portuguese role in the slave trade. But anyhow, let's say her family was exempt from all of that.
That's true. That's true.
Oh, shit.
In the slave trade.
What's not fair? They was the first ones in the shit. You can't go the fuck out of here with this shit.
Not true.
It's crazy because I wonder if Joe set it up so that Ish is he had to set Ish up.
It was in our shit in the 1400s. The Portuguese 1400s.
Stop. I want him to go.
They built the first fucking dungeon.
I'm a cracker. I'm gonna crack. Go ahead.
I'm gonna crack you. I'm gonna crack you. That's Ish's shit. I'm gonna crack your muffin.
No, you're not.
I promise you.
Because you're bunny hopping. Listen.
I know.
The reason you should not be with her.
I want you to finish your
I'm going to finish. I'm going to finish.
I'm gonna crack
this
your
way I
muffin
was.
too. Go ahead.
Look.
The reason you have no business being with a Caucasian woman is although she nor her family may have participated in our oppression directly, she benefits from it. Every white person benefits from the enslavement of blacks. Every white person benefits from the marginalization of black folks. Every white person benefits from every handicap that has been introduced into our community. And I'm quite sure she, like every other white person, has done nothing to level the playing field.
Should we have that same disdain for the Africans that sold us into the slave trade?
That's a great question.
Thank you.
That's a great question.
That continues.
May I answer?
Oh, no. You've been talking.
May I answer?
No, you've been talking. I want to go. Yo, you are
Simple as
a Pan-Africanist, and you push
and
we should go back to
I'm not
Africa,
just saying that
You're
about.
wrong again.
I'm asking.
Oh boy, Imani, I'm just saying in general. It's just simple as thinking.
Said, quote, the only people we want in Africa are those who are willing to do something good for Africa.
Gotcha.
Most of you are no good right here in New York City.
True indeed.
And will damn well be no good in
And
Africa.
pieces of shit in Africa.
There was never a back to Africa movement. Only those who wanted to go back and build should go. Could you imagine me coming to New York or New Jersey with a big ship, a Noah's Ark, and put every Negro you know, Flip, and take them to Africa with their white girlfriends, they video games, they weaves, they perms, they Air Jordans, Africa got enough problems as she is now. Last thing Africa needs is a bunch of post-traumatic slavery disease Negroes coming back home without their right African mind.
Get that Chinese government out there too.
Bro, now, do you want me to answer his
Yes.
question?
No, you could. I'm back on you.
Now, you said, shouldn't we hate the Africans who participated in the slave trade? I want you to show me one country in Africa today that benefits right now, from the fact we wasn't enslaved. Give me one.
You're moving the goalpost.
I'm not moving the
You
goalpost.
are.
No, I'm not.
You are. You
no,
said,
I'm not.
yes, you are. Stop.
No, I'm not.
Stop. You said Portuguese people or the Portuguese, and I'm agreeing with you. They were some of the pioneers of this bullshit. I'm agreeing with you. Stop. I'm agreeing.
And they're not done. Can I ask you a question?
Bro,
Can I ask you a question?
you're not
Who
letting me-
colonized Brazil?
You're not letting me
Who
finish.
colonized Brazil?
Portuguese.
Who still controls Brazil?
Portuguese.
I made my fucking point.
True. I'm not.
Today they still running
That
it.
don't matter.
Brazil is the largest population of black people outside of
In the
Africa.
world.
And
Yes.
what are they flipped?
Sure.
Portuguese.
Right.
I didn't know that.
Fuck he's
Yeah.
saying.
I didn't know that.
They run the
Brazil
shit
has the
down.
biggest black
They run the
population in the
shit
world.
down.
And the reason why is
This
because
ain't
they
past
established.
Too many black people that don't want to go with me to Brazil when I say that, for that to be
No.
There's more
It's the
of
biggest-
us in
yeah.
Brazil than any
Than
country
anywhere.
on earth
Yes.
outside of Nigeria.
He's right. 1,000% right.
Brazil is black.
So let me ask you this. Imani's
I'm
question
Tell
to
me.
you was, should we hold the same contempt?
And I answered his question. And
No,
my
you
question,
didn't.
Yes,
You
I
didn't.
did.
You
yes,
did.
I did. Well, let me answer it. I gave him a...
Let me ask it. Let me ask it, please.
Hold on.
Yeah, no, you owe them.
Hold on. The difference is, no African country benefits today
still
from
to
the slave trade.
Slave trade.
And I would even argue that the benefit that they did have for participating in it was minimal. Because right after slavery ended, what happened next?
See, Ish is just so
Colonization.
caught up with the
They came
idea
into
of
Africa
proving him
and
wrong
enslaved you
that
in your own
he-
land. But here's what I want
he
you to
can't
understand, which
hear
I
him.
think you know anyway. The transatlantic slave trade, what we call the Ma'afa, was a European enterprise. They built it, they ran it, they benefited from it, they expanded it. It was not an African-controlled enterprise.
Right.
1,000%.
There were some Africans involved.
Participated.
Absolutely,
Right.
but that was minimal compared to
True.
the grandiosity of the scheme
biggest
itself.
business in the world.
You understand what I'm saying?
I asked the
So
que-
the difference is the Portuguese are still exploiting us in Brazil. You understand?
Even if they're not directly.
Not only
even,
Brazil,
even,
Angola is Portuguese.
Right.
Mozambique is
Angola.
Portuguese.
Right.
They still exploiting us to this day.
True. Let me ask you
And
this.
what is your white girlfriend doing about the exploitation of Africans in Brazil, Mozambique, and Angola?
Nothing.
I
nothing.
didn't think so.
Let me ask you this.
My nigga.
Let me ask you this. No. I'm about to ask you a question.
Can we switch gears?
It's a lot, man. They go on for about another 45 minutes, right? But I think it was a great conversation. And again, like, as far as Ish goes, I just wish he had took the approach of calmly disagreeing and learning, right? Because the yelling turned it into almost comedy, but it also turned into making him look a lot less informed than he thinks he is, right? And, you know, that was almost inevitable with Dr. Umar. And so, you know, check out, I'm gonna put the whole clip in the description just so you can check out the whole thing. Every time I listen to Dr. Umar, I learn a little bit more. And, you know, that is what it is. This is Dre from Hip Hop 1973. I'll see you soon. Peace.